Hi, my name is Joel Miliken. I'm in the United States Air Force, currently serving in the National Guard, and I'm here to do an interview.
Hi Joel. Why did you join the service, or were you drafted, and how old were you?
When did I join, or why did I join?
Why did you join, also, how old were you?
I joined back in March of '98. I was 17 years old, and I joined. I thought it was something I should do for the country, and there were benefits as well as far as schooling that would help me pay for college.
What were you doing before you joined the service?
I was actually in high school when I enlisted, so I was finishing up senior year of high school.
What branch of the service did you join?
The Air Force. I enlisted in the National Guard, and one of the reasons, like I said, was because of the benefits for schooling. National Guard pays for a portion of your college. So.
How did your parents feel about you joining the service?
Well, my father wasn't. Actually, he was all right with it. My mom was a little bit nervous about myself getting into any trouble during the service, but eventually I think she cooled off a little bit.
Where did you do your basic training?
Basic training was down in Lackland Air Force Base, and that was in San Antonio, Texas.
How long was basic training, and how many people were passed through your group?
On average, basic training 6 weeks, unless if you screwed up at all, you'd have to go back a week or two. And they start you off with a total of about, it's roughly about 60 people. And from there, you'll have basically 2 bays that you go through basic training in the 6 weeks, and go through all the duties that you have to go through. And sometimes you'll get 50, 60 people making it, sometimes you get less.
What type of activities did you have to go through in basic training? Like what type of?
It was physical. You know, the push-ups and the sit-ups and pull-ups and everything else that you hear about. But a big portion of it was mental. We'd have to fold our shirts into 5-inch squares that line up like sheets of paper, and make sure no dust on anything, make sure our razors are free of stubble. So kind of detailed tasks that you should be able to perform on the outside, and so they have you focus on that while you're in basic training.
Were there any type of penalties if you didn't do anything exact to their standards, and what type of penalties?
Yes, you'll have, if you didn't do anything right, you could get kicked out of basic training. I think you had two times at the most where you can mess up, and then if you do it again, then you'll get kicked out. If say your bed wasn't made, or if you know, your clothes were messed up when they were doing inspections, that would be an example.
Do you have any relatives that have or are still serving in the military?
I don't think that my brother served in the military. He's 2 years older than I am, and he's flying F-15s. He's a pilot, but I think he's the only other person in my family, in generations actually, that have served in the military, and he's also in the Air Force.
Where has he gone, do you know?
Where what?
Where has he gone in the military?
He's basically, I signed up 2 years after he did, so we've basically been to the same places, and we've both been in some operations together in Turkey and Saudi Arabia, but there are other locations that we've been to where, you know, it was inside the U.S. just for training missions, and there were some in Europe mostly for training missions.
Was there a culture shock? Was there a culture shock on your part meeting people from other countries and from around the country during basic training?
from around the other countries, it was good to see other people. Such as, say, Turkey, for example, is a different culture, and it was nice to actually go there and find out what culture was like. As far as basic training, that was also good. We basically, I think my particular group was sort of special because we had pretty much everyone from all 50 states representing our group, our squadron. So you got to meet people from each state and then represent it. So it was good.
Do you have any interesting stories from basic training?
I remember my first day, basic training, and there was an Italian kid from New York that was in the bunk bed above me. And the first day you have to, shower, shave, everything in a couple minutes. And the TI, the instructor, was yelling at you at the same time. And I remember him coming back with blood all over his face from shaving and cutting himself up. So we had to sleep on wool blankets. And the next morning he woke up with fuzz all over his face because of the scabs. So I thought that was pretty funny anyway. First day.
Yeah. Harsh reality, huh?
Right.
What was your military occupational specialty?
Weapons specialist for the F-15s, which is basically loading missiles and guns onto the F-15.
Have you ever been over to other Middle East for any other operations?
The two major ones were Saudi Arabia and also Turkey, which wasn't too in-depth, but the Saudi Arabia one, we went there as far as there was an operation bombing Iraq with a no-fly zone. So they had to take a lot of the people off the base and let us go into the base, and it was during Threatcon Delta. It was a pretty heavily armed base. So.
Through the military, besides Turkey and Saudi Arabia, have you been anywhere else?
Yeah, throughout the states, we've had some training missions, like I've mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone to. We have some in Florida, and there's a training mission down in Vegas that we go to, which is nice. And there's a lot of European countries that we go to. Sometimes for layovers, we've been to the Azores, which are islands off of Portugal, or they're Portuguese islands. I've been to Italy a couple times, Ireland, Germany, and there might be a couple others I can't remember.
Were you involved with any operations during the September 11th attack?
Yes. Our jets, the F-15s that we had, were the jets that you'd probably see if you saw the videos. There were jets after the September 11th attack, and those jets go for scrambles every once in a while if there's a problem. And actually, part of my job is to set them off into the air and get them over New York in about 6 minutes time. So I was doing that during September 11th.
Do you have any relative? Oh, I'm sorry, I heard this. Have you had to take any vaccinations for wartime scenarios?
We go through our vaccinations, hepatitis and everything else. For Turkey, we had to get an anthrax vaccination. That was probably the only major vaccination that we got.
Did any of that scare you, having to take vaccinations and having to go into these countries?
Yeah, it was. I think at the time, the vaccination itself wasn't too. There wasn't that much information about it, so a lot of people denied it and got kicked out because of it. But I ended up taking it, and hopefully I won't grow a third arm. Yeah.
How do you feel about what's going on currently in Iraq?
I think right now, as far as the intelligence starting, if they did have weapons of mass destruction, then then it probably would have been something that I would have been for, but since there wasn't any discovery of that, I think we should get out unless there's an immediate threat to the U.S. I don't think we should be anywhere, really. Excuse me.
What do you currently do in the military? Are you still involved?
Yeah, we're still, currently our base is actually getting bracked. It's getting realigned. It was one of the first squadrons in the Guard, actually. But right now we're sending our F-15s out to Western Massachusetts, and our base is turning into an air and space intelligence operation. So right now it's kind of in limbo as far as where everyone's going. Everyone, no one really knows exactly what they're doing. But probably in a year or two, everyone will be following the jets over there while a new mission takes place down at Otis.
And so there's a possibility you could go back to Iraq?
I would say it's a slim possibility at this point because we're getting realigned. There's not. I think there are other bases that would go there before us until we get into our new mission, and then there's a possibility.
And currently you're in the reserves, correct?
National Guard.
Gone back into the reserves.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much, Joel. This is for Wentworth Institute of Technology, so we thank you very much for doing this interview with us.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. Is that recording?
Mm-hmm.